after the semi-final against Exeter last year, it was raw when you spoke to us straight afterwards, and I think I'm not sure whether you were sort of almost stepping back in as the press conference was going on. You were sort of getting more more proud sentiments were coming out of you, and you're kind of maybe looking at the season as a whole as we were chatting to you. How have you spent your off season? Have you managed to kind of get a perspective you feel comfortable with on what you achieved last year?
Yeah, that's generally what I have to do. I have to. Everyone, I think, any coach has to do that. Has to step back and look at the season and see if you're satisfied or content with your efforts to reward of the season as a whole, as opposed to just those last 2 or 3 games, which what most of the world look at and judge you by. And this is win or lose, because I've won it and still been depressed, in the past, because it's really not worth that fleeting moment of exhilaration and euphoria. It's not. It's got to be more about the journey. So looking back on the journey and what we'd achieved, and just still, overpouring. I was too emotional, going into those games myself. Felt like in the weeks preceding it, and I was trying to think about the reasons why. And I've got a lot of people who I love and still talk to and still friends with at Saracens. But it is something different about maybe having the reins, but more so coming back to my old club and it being Northern, and I got wrapped up in a little bit of that sentimentality, and to reflect on that, I guess, which probably impaired some of my coaching methodology. I'm sure it did in the last couple of weeks.
How did it manifest itself? How did it impinge, do you think?
Well, you end up being a bit of a fan, not being present. You have to be present. Not perfect. No one's perfect, but present. And when you ebb and flow with the game and decisions and the small outcomes, then you can't be clear and concise with decisions and your communication, which I guess is my job. It's my job to be that. So I've been saying to myself, even in the warm-up games, be present, not perfect. Don't be a fan. All those kind of things. I keep saying them to myself, and it's helped. Taking deep breaths and all that. So we'll see if it transfers on Saturday. I ain't got a lot of hope, but we'll see.
You've got some squad juggling and plate spinning to do, have you, with the rugby championship and with Tom coming back, and how do you start? You've got 4 lads in South Africa's bubble.
Yeah.
And is everybody else apart from Tom good to go, pretty much?
Cooney's still coming back. We had some issues with the passport office in South Africa and him getting flights, but that's South Africa for you. The rest of them, I think we've kind of got plans in principle for that 4-week block while we're still looking after them, because it's important to ensure that they get the mental and physical recovery that they need, because they've got to go again in autumn. Yeah. So I don't want to bring them,
On a general point, how have you found that as a top man dealing with these windows where you're at the kind of you're obviously at the mercy of international selectors, and that can, it's just kind of as an example, Quinn's kept their 8, 9, 10 throughout, just because of one man's opinion. Effectively, they were allowed to keep that cohesion, and everybody else is. How have you found that?
It's a challenge. Would I rather have it the other way? I'm asking, you're the interviewer, I'm asking myself the questions. I wouldn't rather have it the other way, Charlie. I'd rather than be contending for international spots and me deal with that as a coach, because I want them pushing and driving and striving to be as good as they can be, and that is, England, whatever, home nations and the Lions ultimately. So this is part of me wearing 2 hats. I want what's best for them, because I buzz off that. I get a real sense of pride when they do put on an international cert, but I also need to wear the hat that's what's important for the club. So if they do go away, it's like I can't control that event, but what's my reaction to it? You know, frustration and I don't know, disappointment for the team doesn't solve the issue. You've just got to get on with it and back the lads that are here. Like you mentioned, how difficult it is when the rotation, these South Africans coming back. It's more difficult. They're quite obvious because if they come back in form, they're starting. You know what I mean? Aside from the recovery they need, the lads who've got here right now, who've just spent 6 weeks training in the house down. There's a lot of them up for contention for selection, and we are going to rotate, and they're going to get opportunity, but they all want to play now in the first game, and trying to create an awareness for all these lads who all want to play, and a lot of them are very close to say, look, it's not who starts the season really, it's who finishes it, who's in those games towards the back end, and you're going to get the opportunity, but they don't. They're young, and they just want the shirt. So I've had more. That's the biggest challenge right now, is keeping the health and happiness of the squad together, keeping the healthy competition that we've managed to build over the pre-season, keeping that rolling, whilst individuals have little bumps in terms of their momentum in non-selection for the next few weeks.
Manu looks lean.
Jeez, he's good, mate. He just trained today. He's still hitting hard, but he's looking really sharp. I know I keep saying this, but we really haven't seen him, have we, for a year and a half. I think we will in the opening stages of this Premiership. Sharp, lean, fast, fit, motivated, in good form.
Is that a kind of conscious decision on his part? Hopefully, get to chat to him about it himself. But is it, and how much leaner is he, and how more effective can he be when he is that weight?
It's the way the game's going, isn't it? More metres in play, faster ruck speed. You see that with the latches and the jackalers and everything else. The refs want the ball to be quick. And as such, you need to be able to play at that intensity, around about 120 metres per minute. That's international level, that's his level. Just under 116 metres per minute. So less of a power game potentially with the ball in play time now, and you need to be able to do repeat top end speeds if you're a back. So it was his own decision making. Along with Rowan van Rensburg, I mentioned it last week. They've got this weird kind of, not weird, it's a very strong friendship, very, very strong friendship. Rowan's teaching him how to play golf, and Manu's counselling him in all things worldly. So they both came back in lean, and they haven't even had a tweak of an injury. So I guess there's some proof in the tasting of the pudding. What's the expression there? There's some proof in the pudding that their weight loss has helped them.
Okay. Recruitment was an area that you, I think, wanted to get, well, I remember you saying that you wanted to get used to and get stuff right before you got into it. Is it something that you now feel you can address? Is it something that, how are you approaching it? Do you have long-term projects and long-term things you've got your eye on, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Like 4 or 5 years down the line, we're looking at the moment at now. All the pieces that jigsaw fits together. If our young lads come through, as we hope they're going to, and you need to reward them for what the market price is, how the squad looks in 3 or 4 years' time. It's a real challenge with the salary cap coming down over the next couple of years, those 25% reductions not being an influence. There's a lot of clubs who are going to have to manage the salary cap and the squads and the numbers in the squad. So although it is a year and a half down the line, because a lot of teams have signed up with this 25% reduction, the process of that, the wheels need to start turning now. So I'm trying to get a handle on it. I'm nowhere near there yet. I've got weekly meetings with the CEO and the owners as to what that looks like in this next month. But yeah, we've started the process.
Interesting. And just the last one is kind of a real general one. How confident are you that what you started last season is both sustainable and a launch pad for what seems so difficult in this division, which is that consistent getting into the playoffs consistently?
Right now, super confident. We're all world beaters. I think you'd ask any coach in the league, they're going to win the cup, you know. But I would say 100% sustainable, because we're loving it. all of us are really enjoying it. And if you're enjoying it, then it doesn't seem like a job, does it? It's not a chore to come in. But all the signs are there. Today was the biggest test for me. You can be healthily competitive, you can push and drive each other through a pre-season when everyone knows that there's an opportunity for a shirt up for grabs and it's a bit of a clean slate, Charlie. And then you get into your first really competitive session and I was worried, or I wasn't worried, but there was the off chance, the very slim chance that those people who were demotivated wouldn't pitch up, wouldn't be as on it as what they have been for the last 6 weeks. It's the best session we've had. They properly pushed and prepared the person who was playing, knowing full well that when their opportunity comes, and it will come, because we rotate, that those starting players this week will prepare them in the future. And that's a real good sign of a healthy environment for me.
What do you think of when you think of Bath as far as opponents?
Yeah, dangerous. They've got some real dangerous attacking players. They're very physical in the defence. They've got threats all over. You know, they came to us last year at home when we rotated heavily with half a side and they beat us because we gave them some cheap turnovers in the wide channels, and that's where they're dangerous. You can score from anywhere. Sips is back in, isn't he? And I'm sure he'll want to. He's a world-class player. I'm sure he'll want to make an impact. So, you know, some of that's negating his qualities. And it's that first game, isn't it? So there's always first game jitters. Your timing's a little bit off. Your reaction's a little bit slower. There's the expectation of friends and family and crowds coming back in. So all that to navigate whilst you're still trying to put a performance out there. So, yeah, I think the focus has to be mainly on us, not Bath. We get all our ducks in a row. We get our mentality right. We execute what we've been preparing for, then we'll have a good day. Win or lose, I'm sure we'll have a good day and come off proud.
Is it still just me? I think?
Just you, mate. There's only you that likes me, obviously.
Nice little exclusive.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
No, I was going to give you a text about it. So I mean, it can be off the record. Well, it probably should be off the record. But George Ford's a name that keeps coming up to me, linked with you guys, just from chit chat personally. Can you say anything about that as far as you mentioned these projects further in the future?
Yeah, so I haven't spoken to him. I haven't entertained it. We haven't looked at an option for a fly half as yet. We haven't got the salary cap with the squad that we've got signed up to accommodate a George Ford. He'd be a brilliant addition in anyone's squad. Rob Dupree signed up. We still have the mercurial AJ McGinty for this year, and Kieran Wilkinson, who played full 80 at the weekend, is a very young and up-and-coming fly half. He's been in the shadow of Marcus Smith. But I think if he had the same opportunity, he wouldn't be far off that quality. So it's up for us, first and foremost, to bring our own through. That's my philosophy, that's my remit, that's what I want to do. And if we do enter negotiations with a George Ford down the line, something's gone horribly wrong here. Yeah.